Welcome to our video. Today we are going to share with you one of our favorite winter projects using clay. So what you may not know is that clay is one of my most favorite mediums to use in the atelier. And today I would really like to make with you a snowflake. So you probably already have in front of you your ball of clay. What you'll want to do is you'll want to take off a smaller piece of it that will work from, and the rest you can keep to play with later. Now, there are two different techniques you'll need to learn or to kind of practice in order to get this snowflake going. The first one is how to make a coil. Sometimes we call them worms, sometimes we call them snakes, but what they are long, thin tubes of clay. We will be using so many of these today. So there's my first coil. The other thing that will make this a really interesting project is making balls. Balls are one of the most important parts of sculpting with clay because you can do so much with them. So there's my ball and there's my coil. Now that you've practiced a little bit, let's begin. Now the first coil that I'm going to make today is going to be a big O for the center of our snowflake. I want to make sure that my coil is slightly even and also large enough that I can loop it around into the shape of an O. And where those two edges meet, I'm going to just gently push them together. You can even pinch them in order to make them stick together. Sometimes I like to flip it over and do the bottom as well. So there is my O. Now we're going to make a few coils to see what we can do in terms of making a really cool pattern. Here's my first coil. Roll it out. Your coils don't have to be the same size. Some of them can be longer and some of them can be shorter. Here's my second one. You can roll your coils in your hand like this or on a board or a table. I have two coils now. Let's start with those. So this first one I'm going to put across my board like this. The next one I'm going to put up and down. Creates a plus sign. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my circle right on top there. This is going to be the basis for most of my snowflake. Once again, I'm going to take those edges right where they touch, and I'm going to try to smush the clay together really gently. That way, it sticks together better. I'm going to do the same on the back. So really carefully, I'm going to flip the whole snowflake around and push those lines, those coils, into that first circle that I made. Okay. Now that we have that complete, we can continue to decorate it. So I think I'm going to use a few more coils in order to make it a little bit more complicated and a little bit more decorated. So I'm rolling out one really long coil. I think I'll cut it in half with one of my tools. You can use one of your tools at home too. So here's my super long coil. I'm just going to cut it right down the middle here. There we go. I think I'd like it a little bit longer, so I'm going to roll out each piece that I just cut in half. One, whoop, there it goes, and two. Perfect. So while this went across and up and down, this one's going to go like an X. Just like that. And I'm going to lay it right on top now. There we go. And once again, I'm going to take it and I'm going to smush together where those pieces touch. There we go. I'm going to flip it over. Just barely do the same thing on the other side with that new X. I don't want it to fall apart. Okay. So there are the coils for my snowflake, but I think it can be even prettier. I'm going to make some small coils of clay, and I think you're going to like what I'm going to do next. So now I have this small coil of clay. I'm going to cut it into little bits, about this big. And the cool part is I can take it and I can bend it in half to where it makes a V shape. And I'm going to put it at the end of some of my coils that I have on the snowflake already. like that. Sometimes when I look really closely at snowflakes, I notice that their ends have, I should put it right here, these little lines coming off of them. There we go. Let's do 2 more. I'm going to cut it in half one more time. I'm going to take that little coil, turn it into a V, and then let's do this one right here. I'm going to push it down in really carefully. One more time. Make that little V. Push it down in really carefully. Sometimes I even use my nail. There we go. Now my snowflake has these really cool crystal-like stems coming out from some of the edges. But I have these 4 that are still pretty plain. What I think I would like to do there is take this first idea that we had. So I'm going to roll out 4 balls. Put them right on the edge. Yours can be bigger, they can be smaller. Your pattern can look so different than mine, and that's great because we know each snowflake outside in nature, each one's different. And so each one of ours will be a little bit different too. There we go. And then one last one. And there's our last ball. All right, when you've finished with creating your snowflake, you have a couple of choices. You can let it dry, and then when it's harder, you can hang it up in a window or another special place. Or you can take it to a local pottery place where they'll probably be able to fire it in a kiln for you. That means that they'll be able to bake it in a special oven made just for clay. After that, it'll be hard, it will be dry, and you can use any sort of paints on it that you have lying around at home. Either way, I hope you've enjoyed this nature-inspired craft today. Happy winter!